Thanks for your testimony here today. We heard about a $1 billion contract that went to a company from the People's Republic of China to build Canadian ships. How many other CIB investments are being touted as Canadian investments when they're actually being outsourced to foreign nations with lower labor and lower environmental standards in Canada?
And nice to see you. Dr. Lewis, thank you. Mr. Chair, I guess I'd like to answer the question in two parts. First, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, every one of our projects is for the benefits of Canadians and is infrastructure that is in and partly in Canada. And 235,000 Canadian workers are working on the 102 projects that we're financing today. So these generate clear Canadian benefits, and that's one of the beauties of infrastructure, of course. When you build infrastructure, it drives significant local economic benefit in the building. It drives even greater economic benefit in the using, by creating new trade routes, by connecting Canadians. These are the long-term benefits of infrastructure, and so all of our projects do deliver those as per our mandate. What I will also say to your question is that many of our projects are also parts of global supply chains. As I said, whether it's solar panels or chips, many manufactured goods come from Canadian suppliers, but many come from global markets. And in short, it's not the CIB's role to tell our amazing project partners, be they provinces, territories, private companies, regulated entities like BC Ferries, to tell them where they should best source their components.
Thank you. So essentially, you're answering the question by stating that you can give $1 billion of Canadian taxpayer-funded money to a company, and then they can outsource those jobs to benefit another country. Is that not contrary to Section 6 of your mandate, which is supposed to enrich the Canadian economy? And I really want to focus on the timelines also of when you knew that this money was going to a foreign company. So I understand that the $1 billion loan with BC Ferries was signed on the 28th of March 28th, 2025. And that is the time, in fact, that you knew that the contract was going to China. Isn't that correct, Mr. Curry?
Mr. Chair, I'll take there are two questions. I'll take them in turn, if I may. Firstly, just something to clarify, and I think it's been an important part of the discussion throughout the day. So our loan is to BC Ferries, clearly. That's who our contractual relationship is with. But most importantly, the benefits of our loan also flow through BC Ferries to the users of the service. We are not subsidizing a foreign entity. So the best analogy I can give you is if, Chair, you were buying a new house and you agreed to buy it for $100, and then I made you a loan, an interest-free loan, and I asked you who gets the benefit of the interest-free loan. Is it you or the person selling the house? And the answer is it's you. It's the beneficiary is the person receiving the loan. So the benefit of our loan goes straight to the riders, the users of the service, by keeping the service more affordable and clean.
Yes, but Mr. Curry, Canadian laborers are not being employed in building of these four ferries. And in addition, you know that the first loan payment was disbursed by the CIB May 22nd, 2025, and that the CIB made the deal public on June 26, 2025. So in fact, the taxpayer money, the $1 billion, with the loan was signed and the money started to flow 2 months before the CIB even thought that it was fair to tell the public about this contract. Is that the standard practice of the CIB, to finalize agreements using taxpayer dollars and then disperse payments weeks or months before they disclose it to the Canadian public whose money they're using?
Thank you for the question. And Mr. Chair, just to answer the question about timelines in general. So as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we started our discussions with BC Ferries last September. And at the time, not surprisingly, as is the case in many of our procurements, we did not know where they would, at that time, source their materials from. We have loans, just to give a different example, to many wind producers across this country who haven't yet purchased their wind turbines. Our loan agreement is with the wind producer, and again, it's meant to keep the project more affordable. So when we started our discussions last September, we were not privy to, nor was it part of our analysis where they were getting the ferries. But to the member's question, in March of last year, we our approved loan in March 5th. They still had not made a decision. At the time we closed loan documents, which is a financial document actually signed March 28th, I believe, end of March, we were informed by BC Ferries they were down to 2 finalists, and we knew both of them were China-based, as you heard from Mr. Jimenez earlier. So they had informed us of that just at the time. So just to be very clear, that wasn't part of our analysis. It wasn't part of the decision to make our loan, because our loan is about benefiting the BC customers, the 23 million people or so who use the service. To answer the second part of your question about announcement, I'll be very clear about this. We take transparency extremely serious, Mr. Chair, and if you were to go to our website, you'd see a map that shows every one of our projects across the country. It's true that there was a delay in the announcement of this project, and I would just point the members to the fact that we were in an active writ period at that time, and so announcements of public announcements by Crowns is restricted, so we weren't able to make an announcement. Once a new government was in place, which was mid-May, we started spooling back up to make a public announcement in June, which was always our plan, and we always do strive to announce as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Mr.
So
Corey, and thank you, Dr. Lewis.